That sounds really terrible.
Well, we made it over here to Apache. It was loud. Earplugs helped a lot. So let's see if we can get something put on this thing. Well, now you can hear me again, and I can actually listen to the radio if I want to. Let's get home after we stop and get some food. Never fails when you want to do test driving things. Tires are a little out of round, just a little bit. And this joint in the front of this drive shaft is toast, so we'll have to figure that one out as well. Otherwise, it's much quieter in here. Still can't hear the stereo very well because all this is open. And that rattling, I think, is the universal joint in the front of this drive shaft here. There she is. Oh yeah. Didn't really show you guys off the exhaust yesterday, but it looks pretty good. Apache mufflers, they're just great guys, man. I went over there, I called him middle of the afternoon and asked him if he could just take a look and see what they could fit under there, and then maybe we'll come back another day and do it. And we got it up in the air, and talked me through all the things we could do and all the things that would be terrible to do, and came up with a plan. Told me he didn't have the muffler there, asked if I could leave it overnight. I was like, sure, I'll leave it overnight. I'll just get a ride home. And then he called around, and before I could call a ride to pick me up, came back and told me that he had found a muffler. It was coming in, and he was going to knock it out before he went home tonight so I could drive home. And the price was completely not what I expected, way lower than I expected. So shout out to Apache Mufflers. Great guys, and it sounds great, and they all jumped on it and knocked it out. I'm very grateful for those guys. So I suppose you guys want a cold start, right? Because it's like 60 degrees or something out here. That's why I got my jacket on. I'm freezing. I guess I can give it to you. The tune is still all kinds of screwed up. Now that we've got some pipe on it and the wideband can read correctly, we can start messing with the tune and start moving some things and, you know, stuff like that. But after we drive it around today, then we'll really start digging into the tune and fixing fuel trim. I was just assaulted. But yeah, we got some things we got to fix real quick. We're going to do the transmission tunnel real quick and knock that out just because it's obnoxiously noisy with the drivetrain and everything else under there. So we'll knock that out real quick, and then today we're swapping out the whole front end of this thing, the whole front clip, putting on an OJ Bronco look-alike front end. It's just assaulted again by the same fly. So yeah, we're taking the front clip off of the Biggie Smalls, and we're going to throw it on here and then put this on Biggie Smalls, and we're just making Frankenstein stuff around here. So let's get to this cold start because I got a lot of stuff to do, and it is already working on almost afternoon. Woo! It's a beast. Oh, I still need to take the pin out of this so it's not all up in here like it's an auto, you know. Anywho. Smells a little bit like cat pee in here. Interesting. Okay, 73 degrees on the engine. You hear that rattling? That's what I'm talking about. And go. So that slow start is what I'm talking about with the tuning. Wanted to really come to life, and it's not doing that right now. It's either fuel trim, IX, something around those lines. It's not really giving that rumble to life. It just kind of slowly rolls into life. Also, the fuel gauge started working. That's neat. We used about a quarter tank just driving to the muffler shop and back. Granted, it's 25 miles-ish, so maybe 50 miles on a quarter tank. Seems like it's a lot of fuel usage. We'll see how it goes once we start trimming things up. But it's doing pretty good. It's figuring out. Sounds real good. I like it. Alright, let's get it up here on the concrete, and then we'll start working this drive shaft, or this transmission tunnel. Basically, you got to cut this portion out, and then we'll bolt it down. I got some foam tape to go around the inside here, and then this cover is still in there. I got to put it in, and we'll figure this stuff out here, but that's it, basically. I like it a lot. It's got a nice little tune to it. Since we turned the tip to match the body line, I need to drill another hole down here to get rid of that water. But it's good. This is the equivalent to a 50 series Flowmaster. Sounds exactly the same, and it's like half the price. I remember when Flowmaster used to be the cheapest of cheap, and now it is expensive.
It's not even a word.
I really don't know if that's a real word or not, but it is expensive. They're expensive. Super 50s, I mean, are ridiculous. So yeah, so what I would prefer to put on here is a couple of Super 50s, but just wow, there's no way. All right, let's check out the fresh pipes. They had to do some fancy stuff because this one is low and comes down, and there's no way to get it back under the transmission and over. It had to go between, by the drive shaft over there, and over and around, and they knocked it out of the park with that. They got it right in there, so it's nice. It rubs a little bit up here. It's kind of an issue-ish. Maybe we'll lift the engine and then shave that down at some point, but here it is. Looks exactly like a 50 from Flowmaster, but it is not, and it's much cheaper, so it looks good. 2.5 in here, dual in, and then single out over the axle and out that way. Looks real good. Real happy with it. I was thinking about coming out this way, but you know, it's just not enough room to do that stuff. So going with this. Rear main's leaking. Sweet. These 2-piece rear mains are just hot garbage. If you can avoid them, do so. Alright. Need to adjust the parking brake because it's dragging and all that business. Let's see her joint. She bad. That's what a lot of our rattling is. She bad. When you rebuild that guy, that's where most of our rattling is going to coming from right now. It'll hold on for what we're doing today, and then we should take it out and take it over to the drive shaft shop, have them rebuild it before we do any highway stuff or anything like that. But that's not what we're messing with right now. We're fixing that drive shaft tunnel, adjusting this parking brake, getting on the road. Ooh, she warm. I think we're also going to swap out this distributor for that brand new one that is in Biggie Smalls, just because this is old and it was on that engine that got really hot, and I feel like there's a little stumble here and there, so this module may be toast. So what we're going to do is take this guy out, put in that new one, and then I think that'll solve that issue. Everything else looks great. That's a little loose. Maybe we'll tighten that up. But yeah, great. Good stuff. All right. All this stuff is going to have to come out. Inner fenders, fenders. Core support might be good. I don't know yet. All that stuff's got to come off of there. Hood hinges should be fine, but cowl, I think that's about it. Okay. I'm getting distracted again. All right. All that is done. I really need to clean the floor in here. I think this over here is cat pee because this transmission tunnel was open, but We'll rinse all this stuff out. That's why it is the way it is. This is what we got so far on the transmission tunnel. Put some foam tape around it, cut that little section out to clear the transmission. It's all put together. We'll figure out the shifter boot at a later time. We need to go swap out this front end. Let's roll. I never realized till just now just how quiet this engine is from up here. You can barely hear it at all. Now that the exhaust is closed up, quiet. Way quieter than the Sniper 2, as a matter of fact. What the heck? It's because I said I was going to go do something.
You win this time.
All right. Oh. Operation Facelift is in full effect. It doesn't even have an ignition module on the side of this one. That's nifty. It don't need one? Interesting. Oh, 'cause it's remote. Where is that sucker? There it is. Down there. Huh. Okay, so the plan is take everything off of this one first. And then as we're taking things off of that one, throw it on this one. What we can anyways. Once we start, we're committed. It's looking a little hazy. There may be some rain involved, but we got about 4 hours or so to knock this out, and I think we'll get it. It doesn't take very long at all to do this stuff, so I think we'll be good. Let's just go ahead and start cranking all the stuff off of this thing. Yep. Took about 45 minutes, so start getting to work on this one over here. Obviously it's going to take a little bit more time putting it all back together over here, but that's what we're looking at. So we're on schedule, we're doing good. Just got to keep hammering it out. Alright, I think I've got this thing to a point where I can start it and drive it home because, well, I ain't got no headlights yet. I gotta convert those wires, and the sun is going down. I don't have a grill, I have nothing. Hood closes, everything else is closed. I think we're good enough. OJ is almost done, F350. There's definitely going to be some finagling and moving of the fenders and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's on there. All right, let's fire it up so we can make sure the fans and everything work while we load all this stuff up. Got pump. All right, let her warm up. Put all this stuff away in the back. We got fans. Remind me to get all those bolts off there. Oh, we made it. Got a hair on our chinny chin chin. This phone's doing a really good job of brightening it up out here. It's dusk. It's pretty close to dusk. Made it back. Tomorrow we'll finish up the rest of this. I'm gonna pull the inner fenders back out, clean all that stuff, paint, all that business. And then this thing will be half new-ish. OJ'd. Might leave the 350 badges on there. It's pretty legit. See you in the morning. Good morning. It's a beautiful day. New camera. Who dis? We'll see how this one goes. We'll use it for all kinds of stuff, I'm sure. Also, taking care of them ponies. We gotta finish up the front end of this thing. We got some headlights ordered up that we're gonna replace all those junky broken ones with, but we'll throw them in for the time being just to well, get by, you know, because I have to have turn signals and headlights and stuff like that for all that business. But yeah. Oh, also make sure you're loading up for the winter time. We got the hoodies on there for a very reasonable price. Make sure you check them out. www.veteranrevivals.com. Let's get into it. So what we got to contend with now is I got to take all this, not back apart, but the inner fenders out because I want to clean them. They're disgusting. As you can see here, they need cleaned like nobody's business on both sides. Also, everything needs to be lined up, and the first thing you line up is you put the cowl in, and that way you can get a good idea where the hood goes, because here's where we're at on this side and we're lined up on this side. So that's what I'm going to start with first. Get these inner fenders out, clean them up, throw them back in, line everything up. It's always a different size than what you think it is, you know, just the way it be sometimes. What on earth? I can't even. Gotta paint all this business too. The brackets and everything, they go down in here. Oh. Whew. Come on. Oh, yeah. Okay. Right. Sweet. Let's go. And we're not out yet. We're out. Not out. We're out. It's out. Oh. Okay, we'll hose that down. Ugh. This might take a lot of super clean. I don't mean just a little bit, like a whole bunch. Alright, super clean, time to shine. Works better when it's dry. It's just my opinion. But you gotta be careful getting this on anything brushed aluminum. It will etch the crap out of it if you don't dilute this. Just FYI. In case you didn't already know. And go. Oh yeah. Couple rounds of this will be nice and clean. So I've got the cowl on. Now it's time to start lining up the hood and the fenders and all that stuff and this front air dam so we can get the core support in, all that business. I think the core support actually needs, or not the core support, but this grill back here needs to go in first. We'll play it by ear, I guess. So let's go ahead and start with the hood and then go from there. See where that gets us. Okay, it needs to go in a lot. Back here and back there. So we'll lower it down. Bring it down. Alright, we're closed up on the cowl over here. That side still needs to come back, it seems like. Got a bit of a gap over there. This hood is so bent. Yeah, so we'll bring it back just a little bit over here if it will. We'll try that. Let's get this off here so I can actually set it down. Even though I can't really set it down because this won't turn in and there's not one over here. Let's get one of these guys. Put it over here. Guy. There. Yeah, it definitely needs to go back that way. That'll close up that gap over there. Pretty good here though. Woo! So far. Too far. Come back. It's pretty good. That is pretty good. A hinge stuck over there, so it's got this bend right here that we'll have to work out, but I think that's pretty good. Tighten it up there and worry about all the rest later. That cowl needs to come down, or the center of this hood is pushed down. I can't tell, really, but that should do. Let's tighten it there before it moves. Alright, I'm gonna mess with this for a little while, get it straightened out. Sweet. Alright, next. Well, looks like it's time to move everything inside. Storms are brewing. Sweet. Gotta hook up the battery and all that stuff. Alright, let's throw that stuff in real quick. Don't let your horns fall into the serpentine belt, or the V belt. Jump. Let's get the battery back out of here. We'll finish bolting up this stuff right. Maybe spray the inside of this fender. Let's fog this thing down, as they say. If I can find out what I did with my spray paint that I was just using. Okay, all right, okay, you right. Yeah, okay. Ugh. Yeah, okay. We're getting there. These last things. This, no bueno. Those other headlights, like I said, on the way. That sucks. So we're gonna bolt this guy in here, the best of our abilities. Maybe. We'll see how it goes. And keep on trucking, you know? That's how we do things around her. What is going on here? What's happening? What's up? Got Patron in my cup. Needs a little fixaroonie. Now, that whole side is broke off. That's unfortunate. That does the fortunate, you know. That one's broke too. Real nice. Let me find some more bolts for this thing. Whew. Think we're getting there. Not exactly sure yet, but I think we are. Whew. So you got to do all this stuff before you put the fender liner in, because you ain't reaching none of it once it's in. We're going to rerun all these wires back here too, since they're not going to work as well in this configuration, since we had it set up for the Bullnose. Yeah. Oakley dokley. Got some screws to put in up top. They go right down in the top. Yeah. Okay, all right. Looks, but that's okay. Maybe we'll paint it white later. Probably white. Yeah. Problem is it needs a little sanding too. It's a little rough. Yep. It's an old trick if you've never tried bringing stuff back around. Just take your torch and heat up a area and just keep on moving down. It's starting to rain. You gotta be careful. It'll take the shape out of stuff, so be mindful of what you're doing. And there you have it. Brand new. Not really, but way better than it was. Okay. Wiring. This is where the fun starts and ends. So I'm gonna have to rerun all of this wiring, and yeah, not a whole lot of fun involved with that. Let's see, where do we want to start? How about we go ahead and get the inner fender up in here just to see where things are gonna lie. Yeah. Shoot, bad doop, shoot, bad doop. Okay, I got one bolt up there holding it in. That gives us a general idea where this is gonna lie, and we can start rerouting all of this nonsense. So I'm gonna start clipping zip ties, just going at it. Getting some much needed rain finally. Again, that one always stands out in rain. Just what he does. He was a pasture pony. He was out with the cows when he was growing up, so shocking that he likes being out in that. Okay, I think I got the wiring good to go on this side over here. I didn't do a whole lot different, but I did get it all in there nice and tidy. So we'll go with that and see how that does. I'm sure it'll be fine though. Now we just gotta redo the bulbs to the new style and then get this inner fender in for the airbox and coolant and all that other business. Okay, I picked up all my stuff. It is done. It's time for your tour. I guess you've been here the whole time, but here's the tour of the front end. The grill is getting painted white at some point. I'm sanding it, painting it white. Don't worry about that. Looks like a Hitler mustache right now. Anyways, so used all the factory airbox, coolant reservoir, and the breather tube from the valve cover over and into the box. The fenders go on with a couple issues. One of the issues is down here. There's nowhere for this to mount. On the Bullnose, it's up and under, so you can't really get to it with this fender. So I'll make an L bracket or something. It'll come off that one to this. It'll be good to go. But that is an issue. And this fender is kind of pushed up right here so it doesn't seat all the way up against it. Kind of pushes it away from the door too, gives it that gap. And then the cowl. This fits fine all the way across. There's no holes that'll fit over here, but that's for the gasket itself anyways. Here is the only issue on the Bullnose with this cowl. I had to bend this tab back. This cowl tab is further back on this body style, or on the newer OBS body style. So I bent this forward, bent that back, and they bolted right in. So there's no issue there. Hood hinges work, the springs work. Let's go around. Same thing on that side. You can see I bent it back. And the inner fenders work. They bolt in all the places with no issues at all. There's a mounting hole on the back side of this inner fender. Right there, that guy. Same spot, works great. Clears the shock tower and the coil spring, even though this came off of a leaf spring truck. So that was nice to see. And the body mounts for the core support are the exact same spot. So the core support went right in. I changed out the latch from the Bullnose style to this, and that was just a matter of popping that cable out of that mount right here and then hooking it to the lever itself to get it to actuate, and then adjusting it to fit on the hood. What else do we got? I had to do the wiring for the lights. I told you about that, and that was just a matter of cutting that plug and attaching it to the factory harness on the Bullnose. All the wires and everything are the same color and everything, so it's very straightforward. And then just adding that accent light here. What else do we got here? Reran all the wiring for this. That's not really anything for you guys other than just me reusing all my old stuff and then it going in the right places. Got to get another horn. I killed that one over there. It was wedged down in between the belt and the pulley here and screaming. I'm sure you guys heard it. I did not replace the distributor yet. I will grab that on the next go around. I think that's it. The frame horns are not as long as the ones on that F350. They came out to like here, but should still be able to get a bumper on there. And I have the one from Coach Ma'am, the motorhome over there that I saved, and 2 bolts line up there for that, I think. And then we can put some stringers or something to make it work in that regard. This latch needs some help. It's too far over. It's bent. Needs to stop. So I'll hold this, I guess, and use the other hand. There it is. Looking pretty dang good, if I don't say so myself. The hood is bent right here. I need to figure out a way to flatten that out. And there's a ding right here. I knocked it out a little bit, but most of these scuffs will buff out. And it'll buff up nicely. There's some dings on the top of the hood there. And on the front here, I need to get a stop. This stop is installed. This stop is not over here. That'll bring that hood up to meet this line nicely. But this was off of a railroad truck, so it got heavily abused. But it turned out well. And since it is still pouring outside, and it's turned into a soupy mess with a river, I'm not going to drive out into this and ruin my driveway. So we will take this thing out and give it a drive tomorrow. We'll see you then. Have a good rest. Drink a beer. If you don't drink a beer. Have some apple juice. I got some strawberry lemonade. Good morning. Welcome back to I desperately need to clean up my shop and put away all my tools. Followed directly by let's test drive this Bronco. Actually, I'm feeling froggy. Let's test drive first, and then we'll pick up all the tools. That's probably considered more of a procrastination, but I am who I am. Don't judge me. Cold start. Starter likes to hang just a little bit. So, something I noticed before we suffocate. Let me back this out just a little bit. Alright. So, I had gone and swapped out the throttle body from Biggie Smalls and put it on here because I had taken a portion. Well, let me just show you. So this throttle body originally came off of the engine that is in there right now. It's a 92 whatever. These throttle body, the butterflies inside here, the blades, do not have a little relief hole drilled into them. And so this idled perfectly on there. I could turn the idle down to wherever I needed it to be, and it was good. Now the 93, 94, I think it was a 94, that Biggie Smalls is, I took that throttle body, because this one I drilled a hole for that crappy linkage, and so I couldn't use that with a ball. Snap throttle cable, put that in. It has a hole drilled in each blade as some sort of compensation for something else somewhere else down the line, or they decided that that was a better fit for how that truck drove. Anyways, it has holes, and it would cause this thing to idle way higher than I could possibly turn down. I couldn't remove the screw or back out the screw enough for it to close and idle at a reasonable idle, so it idled like 800 and above all the time. And it would pull timing to try and bring that down, because the idling is, or the timing controls some of the idling as well. And so it was really sluggish, and idling at like 850 with 4 degrees of timing, whatever. So we fixed that. I tapped out one of the holes and put a button head screw down inside of it, and with red Loctite, and I also hammered some of the corners of the screw out, so it couldn't possibly back out, get sucked in, chewed up, and then spit out. So that's what I replaced, and now it idles well. It's still going through its warm-up right now, where it thinks it needs to be at like 40% idle air control to warm up. I'll go through all the tuning and fix all that stuff. But anyways, so that is fixed, and that's what I did with that. Just so you're aware, there are differences in throttle bodies, and the Terminator X apparently does not like the throttle bodies with the 2 holes drilled in each blade. So what we're looking at now, that all this stuff is put together, fixed, and everything else, is drivability. Right now it kind of stumbles, it hesitates. We really need to go through the fuel table, need to take a look at all the timing, all that stuff. So we've got to a point where we can start messing with all that, because there's no other factors in the way. So we'll drive it around a little bit, test drive how it's going. Nothing seems to be rattling or falling off, so the rest of the front end we did was great. So let's just drive it around for a little bit, see what we can get into. I think that was a success. Front end looks great, still attached to the truck. That's a positive. It's a win in my book. And this thing is a beast. I don't know if you guys can pick it up. I left the music out of this last little bit going through here just so you could hear the exhaust tones. It is so visceral, so just raw. It's gotta be hard to capture on the camera. I'm curious to see what it actually captured, but it sounds so freaking good. This 468's running great. I love it. Anyways, we had some fun. I don't want to beat up on it too much. I got to replace that drive shaft. It's clinkety clankety clunking all over the place, but there's no leaks. Everything runs great. It sounds great. Just happy as I possibly can be with this. I'm sure my cousin's gonna love it. We're gonna have a great time. We're not done with this thing. We got lots of stuff to do to it. But for this episode, we are. Thanks for joining me for swapping out the front end on this thing and taking it out for a little tootle. And make sure you check out all the merchandise. Like, comment, subscribe, show it to all your buddies. Spread this thing around, see how much attention this thing can get and what we can do with it to make it even better. Thanks again for watching. As always, have fun, which I'm about to go do right now.